Good evening, this is Katie Craig, and for those of you just tuning in, don't worry, you haven't missed a thing. I'm here to welcome the Special Advisor of the Millennium Development Goal Project of the United Nations, Mr. Jeffrey Sachs.
Thank you for having me tonight, Katie.
I would like to congratulate you on your success of the Millennium Project and its newly passed 10-year extension. Here in the U.S., our major contributions to the UN's World Poverty Ending Fund came through in our Global Poverty Act, which was taken to the bank in 2011. As usual, the U.S. stepped in with a role to conquer the world's problems. This time, the problem of global poverty.
Yes, Katie. That bill passed creating a minimal global tax of 36% on Americans' taxable income. That provided for the $845 billion needed to help reduce the number of people in the world living below the poverty line, and has also brought many of the poorest countries up to par. While the initial goal was to lower the number of people living on less than $1 a day, that number has been inflated to bringing the world's population to living on about $100 a day.
Quite a pretty penny to strive for. When this bill was passed, the American economy was struggling, with record high unemployment rates which continued to rise. Would it seem now in hindsight, since the House was unaware of what was in the bill when it was passed, that taxing Americans' incomes for the benefit of other countries was a poor choice?
Certainly not, but that is a very common misconception. The leadership of the U.S. at the time decided to table their petty domestic issues and put their foot in the door of world issues. Despite the fact that at the time it was not specified how the funds would be used by the UN, the United States of America gave the largest individual portion to the fund. The countries that began to receive money in 2011 have benefited so much from the financial assistance that we are now seeing the flip side of the coin. Several of the countries that had been receiving money are now the largest contributors to the newly extended fund. The Republic of Congo has recently been recognized as the most generous country in the world.
And we in America are especially fond of the rising value of the Congolese franc and its benefit to our nations. The widespread sponsoring from Africa is often the only means of financial stability for middle-class Americans today. Let's take a look at our newly sponsored middle-class citizens in Sugar Land, Texas.
The sponsorship money goes to anything that can be claimed as basic needs in order to reach the standard spending of $100 per capita per day. The funds can go to anything from food and housing to fuel for cars or cell phone bills.
This surprising turnaround coincides perfectly with the steady decline of the worth of the U.S. dollar and the complications brought about by the failing economy.
Indeed it did, but that has allowed the Millennium Project to do something amazing. Today's middle-class America receives their sponsorship money from countries with economies that they help to stimulate through their Global Poverty Act.
Around the same time, legislation was passed to export money to other international issues, such as funding a secret mission to save Joseph Kony's child soldiers, well after the war in Uganda had ended in 2009, as well as several other world money bills.
Indeed there was. All of these exhibited the selflessness of Americans to send their hard-earned money to other people in the world, even if that means putting their nation at higher financial risk.
Thank you, Mr. Jeffrey Sachs. That's it tonight, and I'm Katie Craig, signing off for CBS News. Thank you.
Do you just want to use that one?